So I have a confession to make. I was late to the Horizon Zero Dawn party. Only in the last year did I finally play this 2017 PS4 staple, and to my surprise, I mostly enjoyed myself. I say that because I don't typically have that much fun with today's open world games that revolve around stealth sections, a detective mode, tower climbing, side quests, a skill tree, a foggy map, etc., etc. But I was pretty engaged with Horizon Zero Dawn and its Frozen Wilds DLC over the course of my 40+ hour playthrough, but that engagement was mostly for an unexpected reason. You see, all I ever heard about Horizon Zero Dawn is that it's a beautiful looking game and that the combat machines are super cool. I partially agree. I definitely think the machines are interesting. I like their animations, their sound design. I appreciate how much variety there is, from broadheads to glinthawks to rockbreakers to snapmaws and so on. But when it comes to dealing with these machines, I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers here, but I do not like the combat in this game. I think it's clunky, I think it lacks sophistication, and I just don't care for the spazzy, hyperactive manner in which the game encourages you to play, perpetually spamming the weapon wheel and crafting materials over and over in order to sink dozens of arrows and bombs into a damage sponge of an enemy. This system just didn't do it for me, but I still had a pretty good time with the game. Same goes for the characters and the overall story. I thought Aloy was okay, I guess, but I didn't care about any of the characters, and I really did like some of the ideas and themes that the game explored, but I didn't care about the actual plot either. But like I said a moment ago, these gripes did not fully hinder my ability to enjoy myself with this game. So what was it exactly that I liked about Horizon Zero Dawn? Well, it was the fact that this game is, in part, a love letter to the American West. And I never heard that about this game. I had never heard about the fact that it's set in Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and Wyoming. I'm sure there were some blogs and articles and discussions back when the game came out, and I'm sure plenty of Horizon fans do appreciate this aspect of the game, but I'm just saying it's not a selling point. It's not heavily advertised by word of mouth, because if it had been, I would have probably picked up and played this game a long time ago. I live in the American West, and over the years have spent a lot of time outside among the many natural landscapes that make up this incredible region. The alpine peaks, the sandstone deserts. The American West is so fantastical that I'm sure some casual Horizon players worked their way through this game and just assumed this was a make-believe land, when in reality, it's a recreation and interpretation of the 4 states I just mentioned. Dozens of real-world locations appear in Horizon Zero Dawn, and finding these locations, all in beautiful 4K, is what carried me through my playthrough. It was so exciting time and time again to discover places in this game that I've been to in real life, mountains I've climbed, national parks I've visited. Lots of games get attention for their settings, Ghost of Tsushima being set on Tsushima Island, The Last of Us Part 2 set in Seattle, even a game like Grand Theft Auto 5 being set in a fictional version of Los Angeles and its surrounding areas. But for me, Horizon Zero Dawn took this whole real-world setting thing to the next level. And it's especially interesting because Horizon developer Guerilla Games is based in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, so some of their team members either spent time traveling in the American West or simply did lots and lots of research. I couldn't find much information online about their inspiration for the game's setting, but the American West speaks for itself. Its dramatic beauty is totally self-evident. You know, I feel like for years we've been led to believe that we're shallow if we like a game because it has good graphics. And I couldn't disagree more, especially in this newish era of 4K gaming. I play and appreciate different games for different reasons, and I was very content to enjoy Horizon for its visuals even more than its gameplay. This is an exception to my rule, no doubt, but oh well. There's a level of subjectivity here, but no game is perfect, yet plenty of imperfect games can still be enjoyed despite their flaws. Fun is fun, and I was genuinely motivated to escape into this game world, to simply run around and explore, to listen to the wind in the water, to admire the colors of the foliage. Plainly put, I can't believe how much better this 4-year-old game looks than a lot of stuff that's released today. Horizon is such a prime example of a developer successfully optimizing a game for specific hardware. But look, that's enough throat clearing on my part. I want to dive right into this American West love letter stuff. I went crazy with screenshots and photo mode during my playthrough of Horizon, and I want to share some of those captures here. I want to showcase some of my favorite in-game locations and talk a little bit about their real-world counterparts. I think a lot of players are vaguely aware that a dilapidated version of Denver appears in the game, for example, but I want to get into some of the more obscure locations and landmarks that make this game and the work that Guerrilla did so very cool. Maybe you too appreciate these details in the game world, or perhaps you weren't previously aware of this stuff, and this will give you a good reason to revisit the game. Either way, let's dive in. The first wow moment I had in Horizon happened here. I couldn't believe it. I crested a hill and saw this, the Maroon Bells. This is the name of two peaks. Well, really one proper peak that appears like two distinct peaks, located in the Elk Range of the Rocky Mountains, just southwest of Aspen, Colorado. North Maroon Peak is the peak in the foreground, to the right, and then Maroon Peak is the peak in the background, or to the left. Mountain summits are distinguished by prominence, and summits with less than 300 feet of rise or prominence relative to their adjoining saddle or ridge do not qualify as true ranked summits. So that's the case here. North Maroon Peak is not an official summit, and is really just an extension of Maroon Peak, which is one of Colorado's 50-plus 14ers, or mountains that rise 14,000 feet or more above sea level. Maroon Peak, better known as the Bells, is one of the most iconic mountains in North America, and is infamous for its loose and exposed terrain, which has killed many mountaineers over the last century. I was somewhat in disbelief of what I was seeing, these iconic Colorado peaks in a Sony video game. But my doubt was extinguished when I panned the camera and just off to my left or to the south saw this, Pyramid Peak, another 14er, which in real life is actually located this close to Maroon Peak, just across the valley. Pyramid is another distinct and dangerous mountain summit, and upon spotting it within the same area as Maroon Peak, I realized what I had stumbled onto, just what this game had in store for me. I continued deeper into the valley and, as I expected, found Maroon Lake. This lake is a famous destination for tourists and travelers as it provides a stunning vista of the Maroon Bells, Pyramid Peak, and the now visible Sleeping Sexton, a ranked 13,000 foot peak, or 13er, located directly north of the Bells. So direct that it's actually connected by a continuous ridgeline. This is such a special spot in the real-life Rockies that it really warmed my heart to see it recreated so faithfully here in Horizon. As night descended, I climbed higher into the mountains with Aloy so I could see the Bells up close. Such a cool and unique experience to have in a video game. I even found sections of Four Pass Loop, which is a famous 27-mile high-altitude trail that circumnavigates the Bells, as well as Capitol Peak, which is another nearby 14er and infamous for its long and incredibly exposed summit ridge. I really believe that's what we're looking at here. This was the developer's interpretation of Capitol. It was so cool to get up here with Aloy. Next up is Moab, Utah, and its surrounding high desert landscape. And this is one area where Guerrilla took some liberties. Recreating the entire American West square mile by square mile would have been unrealistic and unnecessary. So in Horizon, once you climb Four Pass Loop and leave the Maroon Bells area behind, you're suddenly in Utah and you descend into the Moab region. In this desert is so iconic that there's very little left to interpretation here. If you've visited these places in real life, you know exactly what you're looking at in Horizon. One of the only deviations in the game is that the saguaro cacti grow in this region, which they do not in real life. In real life, you have to travel many more miles southwest to find these iconic plants. But some of the famous real-world locations included in-game are Castleton Tower, which you can see here during day and during night. Also, Fisher Towers, a famous rock climbing destination, best known for its tallest tower called the Titan. Additionally, we have Dead Horse Point, which is a state park and also marks one of the most dramatic natural bends in the 1,400-mile-long Colorado River. Here you can see Dead Horse from a few different vantage points. These sandstone cliffs are so beautifully rendered and so true to form. And then perhaps the most famous location in this region is Arches National Park, which includes the highest density of natural arches on planet Earth, over 2,000 of them. Those include Delicate Arch, which is likely Utah's most famous natural landmark, as well as Double Arch, seen here at nighttime, and then the window arches, made up of North Window and South Window. Generally speaking, Guerilla nailed this section of the map. If you've ever hiked through the Moab backcountry, you can really appreciate spots like these. Like I said earlier, they're very true to form. Now, as we venture outside the immediate Moab region, we find other iconic Utah landscapes, like the hoodoos at Bryce Canyon National Park and the hoodoos at Goblin Valley State Park. Again, the developers nailed these formations, especially the distinct hoodoos at Bryce. I love this attention to detail. And even farther outside Moab, in the game it's to the west, but in real life it's more to the south on the Arizona border, is beautiful Lake Powell. As natural as it looks, Powell is actually a reservoir created by the Colorado River. It's one of my favorite locations in the American West because of the contrast between the stark blue water and the stark red sandstone. There's nowhere else like it, so it's cool to see it rendered like this in game. Now we're going to go back east toward Devil's Grief, which is actually the ruins of Denver, Colorado. Outside this region, we can find an interpretation of Garden of the Gods or Roxborough State Park. It's hard to say which, as both locations are comprised of fin-like sandstone formations that abruptly jut out of the earth. Also nearby, we can find Red Rocks Park and Amphitheater, the famous outdoor concert venue located in Morrison, Colorado, about 15 miles southwest of Denver. This venue has hosted many famous artists and performances since opening in the 1940s, such as the Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, U2, and the Grateful Dead. As we travel north, the land becomes increasingly more rugged and snowy. We eventually reach a mountainous region that I believe is an interpretation of Rocky Mountain National Park. I found one peak in particular that bears a resemblance to Long's Peak or Chief's Head Peak, a 14er and 13er respectively, located nearby one another in the park. I believe the frozen lake that Aloy is running across here may be an interpretation of Chasm Lake, an alpine lake located directly below Long's east face that famously freezes every winter. Having spent a lot of time in Rocky Mountain National Park over the years, I think this in-game location with its granite walls and ponderosa pines feels extremely true to form. And if we venture even farther north into the Frozen Wilds DLC territory, we find ourselves in northwest Wyoming. Here, you can see the now dilapidated Roosevelt Arch, which in real life stands at the northern entrance of Yellowstone National Park, and beyond you can find a number of the park's famous landmarks and geothermal features. This isn't a spoiler really, but the DLC itself, as you may know, actually revolves around the Yellowstone Caldera, a supervolcano located deep in the earth below the park. And the most stunning vista, in my opinion, in the entire DLC is that of the Tetons, a national park and famous range of peaks in the Rockies located south of Yellowstone. The range's central massif, known as the Cathedral Group, is most eye-catching for its high point, Grand Teton, another 13er and a famous mountaineering destination. This part of the map in general is just so cool, so beautiful. The trees, the ice, the falling snow. How did this come out in 2017? Guerilla has some real wizards over there. I could go on and on. There's even more real-world locations in the game that I haven't gone over here, but I'm sure you get the point. In my opinion, this is one of the coolest maps of any open-world game ever created. I don't think Guerilla Games did everything right with Horizon Zero Dawn, but I have an immense appreciation for their attention to detail with this game world. Especially during this global pandemic we've all been enduring, this video game, beyond its combat and story and all of that, honestly offers a virtual tour of the American West if you're so inclined to take it, and I'd highly recommend it. And in closing, I can't wait to see how Guerrilla's attention to detail and appreciation for the natural world reaches new heights in the sequel, Horizon Forbidden West, which hopefully we're able to get our hands on by the end of 2021. I still can't believe how beautiful Horizon Zero Dawn is, and it's 4 years old now. I hope Forbidden West is the next gen 4K 60 FPS feast we've all been waiting for. We already know based on the game's trailer that Yosemite National Park and the San Francisco Bay Area will both be included in the game. That alone really gets the imagination going. Where else will Aloy go in this game? What other places in California or maybe Nevada will we be able to experience? Who knows? I can't wait though. So all that's left to do is to go down to the comments and let me know, what are your favorite locations in Horizon Zero Dawn? What part of this game map do you like most and why? Have you visited any of these places in real life? And what are your hopes for the graphics and game map in Forbidden West? As always, thanks for watching, and as I sign off here, I'm going to share some of my own photography, images I've captured over the years of some of the iconic locations we covered in this video. So thanks again, and enjoy.